Saturday, June 20th. Tonight, Trump's rally in Tulsa. That should be exciting. We seem to have some very different perspectives represented in the crowd. One of the ways that we can look at wisdom, we've been talking about wisdom as a different way of seeing, of a way of understanding, of making meaning of the world. Wisdom is different than common sense. And we're going to see two very different perspectives represented on the streets this evening. I hope it all happens peacefully, but it's like a powder keg in Tulsa. At least that's the sense that I get from the news. We know when we have developed a perspective, that we have a way of looking at things that we feel uncomfortable when people see things differently than we do. They're looking at the same thing, but they're making it mean something else. And there's some things about that that can make us pretty uncomfortable. So what we do is we tend to look for people who see things the way we see things because we're going to be more comfortable with them. Some people even, in terms of a proselyte, someone who's proselyting someone to join their religion, they're the people who see the world the way I do, that understand God the way I do, or they pray the way I do. And then there's everybody else. And so anybody who's not one of us is somebody that I'm going to go out there and try and change. Because I know that the way that I'm looking at things is the right way. And so therefore, they're looking at it the wrong way, and it will improve the quality of their life if only I can help them understand the folly of their ways. At some point, though, we begin to notice that other people's perspective seems to have a certain validity. It may be because they're somebody that we really care about or somebody we really respect that sees the world differently than I do, and then I begin to think, oh, well, maybe that makes sense. And so we begin to hold out space for there being multiple perspectives. Most commonly, and I think most durably, this happens when we begin to pay attention to our own perspectives. And we discover that, well, there's a part of me that sees it this way, and there's a part of me that sees it that way, and they're both valid. And we begin to get a sense that there is such a thing as multiply valid perspectives. There's more than one way to look at something, and my way is valid for me, but if your way is valid for you, maybe it's also valid for me. But even if it's not, because I care about you, I have to hold out the possibility of the validity of your perspective. When I can see from your perspective and I see that it's valid and I am able to incorporate that perspective into my own, now I not only see from my perspective or my prior perspective, now I also see from your perspective. And because I can now see from two perspectives, now I have the capacity to see with depth. It's that capacity to see with depth that becomes possible when we switch over into systems thinking, into non-dual awareness, into wisdom. So I invite you to be curious about other people's perspectives and to recognize that they're all valid. Every perspective is valid, at least to the person who holds it. And to recognize about your own perspectives that no perspective is complete. Every perspective is partial. And so you can benefit, I can benefit by seeing another's perspective and how it is that it's valid for them. And that becomes a window into a kind of a point of entry into wisdom, to be able to appreciate the perspectives of others. Hope you have a peaceful day.